Botswana faced immense challenges at independence. One of Earth's poorest nations, it had few resources, no army, and an uncertain future. How did this nation defy expectations and become Africa's success story? The turning point: vast diamond deposits. Botswana chose a different path, avoiding the resource curse. They made a unique partnership, securing their future. With wealth, Botswana built a nation, investing in infrastructure and education. They fought a deadly pandemic, protecting their people. They protected natural treasures, ensuring wildlife and the Okavango Delta remained a jewel. This is a testament to leadership and sound policies. Discover the story of resilience, an ATM documentary.
They report the chaos. We reveal the agenda.
Good evening and welcome to ATM. For decades, the story of Africa has often been written as a tragedy, a narrative frequently dominated by hardship and despair. This portrayal has, for too long, overshadowed the continent's true potential and resilience. It's a story often characterized by pervasive poverty, relentless conflict, and the infamous resource curse, where abundant natural wealth paradoxically leads to instability and underdevelopment. But what if I told you there was a remarkable exception to this deeply entrenched rule? A nation that defied all expectations. Imagine a nation born into seemingly impossible poverty, with virtually no known resources at its inception, and surrounded by hostile, oppressive regimes. Yet, against all odds, this nation somehow transformed itself into a shining beacon of stability, a thriving democracy, and a remarkable example of prosperity in a challenging region. This is the extraordinary journey of Botswana. This is not a mere fairy tale or an idealized vision. This is the true and compelling story of Botswana. In 1966, when Botswana finally gained its hard-won independence from Great Britain, it was unequivocally one of the poorest countries on the entire planet, facing immense challenges from its very first day as a sovereign nation. At that time, its per capita income was a mere $80 a year, a stark indicator of the widespread economic hardship. Furthermore, the nascent nation had a total of just 12 kilometers of paved roads across its vast territory, highlighting its severely underdeveloped infrastructure and the monumental task ahead. It was a vast, landlocked, and predominantly drought-prone nation, with its economy almost entirely dependent on subsistence cattle farming, a precarious existence, vulnerable to environmental fluctuations and limited market access. This reliance made its economic future highly uncertain. Worse still, Botswana found itself a fragile democratic island in a turbulent sea of racist tyranny, precariously surrounded by the oppressive regimes of apartheid South Africa and Rhodesia, which is now modern-day Zimbabwe. Its geographical and political isolation was profound. At its independence, Botswana possessed no standing army to defend itself, no significant industrial base to drive economic growth, and seemingly no discernible future that offered hope or progress. It was, by all conventional measures, an impossible nation, facing insurmountable odds. However, it possessed one invaluable asset that could not be quantified on any financial balance sheet: truly visionary leadership. Its first president, Sir Seretse Khama, was an extraordinary man who had already demonstrated immense courage by defying an empire, setting a precedent for his future leadership. A tribal king by birth, educated at the prestigious Oxford University, his marriage to a white English woman, Ruth Williams, ignited an international scandal that reverberated across continents, ultimately forcing him into a period of painful exile. This act of defiance, however, only strengthened his resolve. Yet, against all expectations, he returned to his homeland, not to reclaim his throne as a king, but to lead his people as a democratically elected president. From the very first day of his presidency, Khama meticulously established the foundational principles that would underpin Botswana's remarkable and enduring success. He firmly rejected tribalism, actively promoting national unity among diverse groups. He enshrined the rule of law as the bedrock of society, and remarkably, declared an uncompromising war on corruption even before the nation had accumulated any significant wealth that could be stolen or misused. This proactive stance was revolutionary. This was a truly radical vision, a bold and unconventional approach that decisively set Botswana on a completely different and more prosperous path, distinct from the often troubled trajectories of its neighboring nations. It was a testament to his foresight and determination. Then, in 1967, just one short year after Botswana had bravely declared its independence, a team of geologists working diligently in the vast, barren expanse of the Kalahari Desert made an astonishing discovery, one that would forever alter the nation's destiny. At a remote location called Arapa, they unearthed one of the richest and most significant diamond pipes ever discovered in human history. Overnight, one of the world's poorest nations found itself literally sitting on one of its greatest and most valuable treasures, a sudden and dramatic reversal of fortune. This monumental discovery, however, should have been a death sentence for the fledgling nation. In Africa, this phenomenon is tragically known as the resource curse, a sudden flood of mineral wealth that almost invariably leads to rampant corruption, devastating civil war, and the rise of authoritarian dictatorships, rather than prosperity. The critical question loomed: would Botswana succumb to this tragic fate and become just another victim of the resource curse? In the next part of our story, we will explore how this impoverished nation, through astute leadership and strategic planning, managed to outsmart even the most powerful corporation on Earth, transforming its destiny. Sudden, immense wealth is often a curse for most developing nations, particularly those rich in natural resources. This influx of capital frequently attracts external predators, fuels internal greed, and can ultimately destroy the very fabric of societies, leading to widespread conflict and corruption, as seen in the struggles over blood diamonds in Sierra Leone and the persistent oil conflicts in Nigeria. With the discovery of vast diamond reserves, Botswana was immediately confronted with this resource curse in its purest form. The first and most formidable predator at its door was De Beers, the most powerful and ruthless diamond monopoly in history, known for its aggressive control over the global diamond market. De Beers, accustomed to dictating terms to less experienced governments, fully expected an easy deal. Their strategy was to offer the poor and newly independent Botswana government a tiny royalty, a mere fraction of the true value, and then walk away with billions in profits, securing nearly all the diamond wealth for themselves. However, they profoundly underestimated the astute leadership of Seretse Khama, Botswana's first president. Instead of passively accepting a small royalty, Khama's government, demonstrating remarkable foresight and resolve, demanded a genuine partnership, insisting on a more equitable share of the profits and control over their national resources. After years of grueling and intense negotiations, marked by strategic maneuvering and unwavering determination from Botswana, they ultimately forged a revolutionary deal. This groundbreaking agreement established a 50-50 joint venture called Debswana, a partnership that would redefine the relationship between a developing nation and a powerful multinational corporation. Under this unprecedented agreement, the state of Botswana would own half of the newly formed company Debswana, ensuring it received half of all the profits generated from diamond mining. Furthermore, Botswana secured crucial seats on the company's board, giving it a direct voice and influence in strategic decisions. This was truly the deal of the century, setting a new standard for resource management. Through this visionary partnership, a poor African nation, newly independent and facing immense challenges, refused to be a victim of the resource curse. Instead, Botswana strategically transformed its destiny, becoming a co-owner and active participant in managing its own valuable resources, thereby charting a path towards self-determination and economic empowerment. While securing the lucrative deal with De Beers was a monumental achievement, getting the money was, in many ways, the easier part. The true genius and enduring legacy of Botswana lay in what it chose to do next, how it meticulously managed and invested its newfound diamond wealth for the long-term benefit of its citizens. The government of Botswana implemented a system characterized by almost fanatical prudence and fiscal discipline. They established strong, independent institutions, free from political interference, and enacted robust laws specifically designed to ensure that the diamond money was not squandered through corruption or mismanagement, but rather used for sustainable national development. Crucially, all mineral revenues were legally mandated to be saved and reinvested directly into national development projects, focusing on long-term growth and public welfare. These funds were strictly prohibited from being used for recurring government salaries, which could create unsustainable dependencies, or for extravagant, often wasteful, vanity projects that offered little public benefit, a common pitfall in other resource-rich nations. Botswana pioneered the concept of a sovereign wealth fund, establishing the Pula Fund in 1994, decades before such funds became a global trend and a fashionable economic tool. Despite rapidly becoming rich from its diamond wealth, the nation deliberately acted like a poor country, maintaining strict fiscal conservatism and prioritizing long-term savings and investment over immediate consumption or lavish spending, a stark contrast to many of its resource-rich counterparts. And where did this strategic reinvestment of diamond wealth ultimately go? It was channeled directly into its most valuable asset, its people. The diamond revenues were systematically and thoughtfully used to build a modern nation from the ground up, focusing on human capital development and essential infrastructure. This included constructing new, well-equipped schools in rural villages, providing quality education to all children. This commitment translated into tangible improvements for its citizens. Universal primary education became entirely free, ensuring access for every child. Healthcare services became widely accessible across the nation, improving public health outcomes. Thousands of kilometers of vital roads were paved, connecting previously isolated communities, and clean, potable water was successfully brought to remote villages, dramatically enhancing living standards and reducing disease. Through these deliberate and prudent actions, Botswana had not only tamed the notorious resource curse, but had also successfully built a model African state, demonstrating that resource wealth could be a blessing, not a burden. However, as the 20th century drew to a close, a new and devastating biological curse would emerge, threatening to unravel everything they had painstakingly built and achieved. Now, we will delve into the profound challenges and perils that arose in this seemingly idyllic paradise, exploring how Botswana confronted the devastating HIV/AIDS epidemic, which threatened to undo decades of progress and prosperity, and how the nation once again demonstrated remarkable resilience in the face of an existential threat. Botswana had achieved the impossible, transforming itself from one of the poorest countries globally at independence in 1966 into a middle-income nation. It had turned diamonds from a potential curse into a profound blessing, meticulously building a peaceful, prosperous, and democratic nation through strategic investments in infrastructure, education, and healthcare. But this hard-won paradise was about to face its greatest test, a challenge that threatened to unravel decades of progress. A new, silent killer was stalking the land, a biological curse that threatened to wipe out an entire generation and undo a half-century of remarkable development. This was the devastating era of HIV/AIDS, a crisis that would test the very foundations of the nation's resilience. In the early 2000s, Botswana faced an unprecedented public health crisis, grappling with the highest HIV infection rate in the world. At its peak, nearly 1 in every 4 adults, approximately 25% of the adult population, was living with the virus, creating a profound societal challenge that impacted every aspect of life across the nation. The human toll was catastrophic. Life expectancy plummeted dramatically from over 65 years to below 40, erasing decades of health gains. This devastating loss meant that an entire generation of parents was tragically wiped out, leaving behind thousands of vulnerable orphans and fracturing countless families across the country. The nation's skilled workforce, the very people educated and empowered by the wealth generated from diamonds, were succumbing to the disease. The miracle of Botswana's development was rapidly turning into a profound nightmare, threatening to dismantle the progress achieved since the first major diamond discovery in 1967. But this is precisely where the genius of Botswana's unique system was truly revealed, showcasing its exceptional capacity for adaptive governance. The same principles of good governance and financial prudence that had successfully tamed the resource curse were now swiftly mobilized to fight an equally formidable public health war, demonstrating remarkable national resolve. Instead of denial, a common pitfall in many nations facing similar crises, the government of Botswana acknowledged the crisis head-on with remarkable transparency and courage. In 2002, Botswana made history by becoming the first country in Africa to launch a comprehensive, universal free antiretroviral treatment program, a groundbreaking initiative that offered hope to millions. The substantial diamond money that had been strategically invested in building schools and infrastructure was now critically reallocated and used to purchase life-saving medicine. The inherent stability and robust institutional framework of the state allowed for an incredibly coordinated, nationwide response, ensuring that treatment reached those who desperately needed it across the vast country. It was a long, brutal fight, demanding immense national effort and resilience. But through unwavering commitment, they successfully turned the tide against the epidemic. Botswana proved unequivocally that good governance, characterized by transparency, accountability, and strategic resource management, is indeed the ultimate immune system for a nation, capable of overcoming even the most severe challenges. Having successfully survived its greatest health crisis, Botswana now faces an equally formidable economic challenge: its deep, dangerous, and persistent dependency on a single commodity. This reliance on diamonds, while historically beneficial, now poses significant risks to the nation's long-term economic stability and future prosperity. Diamonds still account for over 80% of Botswana's export earnings, making the nation highly vulnerable to external market forces. The global market for diamonds is inherently volatile, subject to rapidly changing consumer tastes, economic downturns, and, critically, the accelerating rise of synthetic, lab-grown alternatives that offer a similar product at a lower cost. This overwhelming dependency on diamonds creates new and complex social challenges that threaten to undermine inclusive growth. While the nation as a whole is considered rich due to its diamond wealth, youth unemployment remains stubbornly high, and a significant, visible gap persists between the urban wealthy and the rural poor, exacerbating social inequalities. The remarkable success of the past, while celebrated, has inadvertently created a new set of complex 21st century problems that demand innovative solutions. The diamond mines, the bedrock of Botswana's prosperity, will not last forever, with reserves projected to decline. In our final part, we will explore in detail how Botswana is actively trying to build its future, strategically diversifying its economy beyond diamonds to ensure sustainable prosperity for generations to come. Botswana built a miracle on a foundation of diamonds, transforming from one of the poorest nations to an upper-middle-income economy since its independence in 1966. However, that foundation, largely driven by its rich diamond resources, is finite and vulnerable to global market fluctuations and the emergence of synthetic diamonds. The nation's next, and perhaps greatest challenge, is to write a new chapter, to build a resilient, diversified economy that can thrive long after the last diamond has been pulled from the earth. This strategic shift is guided by Vision 2036, a national development blueprint aiming to transform Botswana into a high-income country by 2036, underpinned by sustainable and inclusive growth. This is the race to build a future beyond diamonds, focusing on sustainable economic development, human and social development, a sustainable environment, and robust governance, peace, and security. The first pillar of this new future is not buried underground. It is the stunning natural beauty of the land itself, offering immense potential for economic diversification. With its abundant wildlife and pristine natural landscapes, Botswana is poised to become a leading ecotourism destination in Africa. Botswana has pioneered a model of low-volume, high-value ecotourism. Instead of mass-market tourism that degrades the environment, they focus on exclusive, environmentally sustainable lodges that attract wealthy clients, ensuring minimal ecological impact while maximizing economic benefit. This strategy does two things. It generates significant revenue while preserving the very wilderness that is the asset, ensuring the long-term viability of its natural resources. This approach aligns with the country's commitment to sustainable development and responsible tourism. A portion of the profits is funneled back into conservation and local communities, making them partners in protecting the environment and fostering a sense of shared responsibility. This ensures that the benefits of tourism are widely distributed and contribute to local well-being. In a turbulent world, Botswana's greatest export may now be stability. Its unwavering commitment to democracy, rule of law, and low corruption has made it a darling of international investors and a crucial geopolitical partner, attracting significant foreign capital. It has carved out a niche as the Switzerland of Africa, a stable anchor in a sometimes volatile region, providing a reliable environment for business and investment. This reputation is a testament to its consistent good governance. This reputation allows it to attract investment in new sectors like financial services and to position itself as a safe, reliable hub for business in southern Africa. In 2025, Botswana launched a citizenship by investment program to attract foreign capital into renewable energy, housing, tourism, and financial services. It is leveraging its good governance into a tangible geopolitical and economic asset, reducing its dependence on diamonds and stimulating long-term economic growth. This strategic approach ensures a diversified and robust economy for the future. So what is the lesson of Botswana? It is a story that defies easy narratives about Africa. It is proof that visionary leadership, like that of Seretse Khama, Botswana's first president, can set a nation on the right path, transforming its destiny. It is proof that mineral wealth does not have to be a curse, as demonstrated by the successful Deb-Swana partnership, which has contributed significantly to Botswana's economy, providing employment, revenue, and foreign exchange earnings. It is proof that democracy and development can and must go hand in hand, leading to modern schools and hospitals. The challenges of inequality, unemployment, and economic diversification are real and immense, as evidenced by the fight against AIDS and the need for continued progress. Botswana's story is not a perfect fairy tale, with a high Gini coefficient indicating income inequality and stubbornly high youth unemployment. But it is a powerful, desperately needed proof of concept. It is a beacon of hope, showing a continent and the world that a different path, one of prudence, unity, and democracy, is possible. Even with challenges like inequality and unemployment, Botswana is well positioned to build a more resilient and diversified economy. Thank you for joining me on ATM as we explored Botswana's journey towards a sustainable and diversified future, guided by Vision 2036 and its commitment to good governance and economic growth.